like to thank the invitation for me to have this opportunity to speak, to share Shenzhen's experience with everybody. From the topic, this is about Shenzhen and about the Shenzhen's economic transformation, and this is very suitable for Shenzhen. Shenzhen has always been in the process of transformation. In the last 30 years, it has changed from a small fishing village to a metropolitan, and from agricultural-dominated city to industrial-driven metropolitan, and also shifted from a planning economy into a market economy opening to the outside world. And this is outward-looking economy. I will briefly introduce Shenzhen's development. And we can see from this map, and then the front part is Hong Kong, and the inland area is, the hinterland is Shenzhen. I always say Shenzhen, when I introduce Shenzhen, I tell them, oh, this is Hong Kong's neighbor, and still don't know where we are. Now, after you've seen this map, you will know where we are. 150 years ago, Shenzhen and Hong Kong belongs to the same district. 30 years ago, the Shenzhen story started. Mr. Deng Xiaoping visited Guangzhou 30 years ago. Then Shenzhen was very poor. Many people escaped into Hong Kong to seek a better life. In order to drink Coke and Pepsi, they ran to Hong Kong. Many people said to Deng Xiaoping at that time, we need to take strict measures to control the border. Deng Xiaoping said, no, this is because our policy is not good. This is not because of our people. Then he went back to Beijing. Shenzhen has become China's first economic zone. In 30 years, the GDP has increased 10,000 times. And Shenzhen and Hong Kong, before were only the 1,000th of Hong Kong's GDP, and now Hong Kong's GDP is 73%. And this is a picture of Shenzhen in 1980. Maybe you cannot see it very clearly. The hill there is Hong Kong. And this is Shenzhen in 2005, the same place. And this is looking at Shenzhen from Hong Kong. Every time when I send the picture to our foreign friends, they are all amazed to see Shenzhen's change from 30,000 people little city to 14 million people. And this is 2010, the Shenzhen CBD. And look how far the city is spreading away, is spreading further into outskirt areas. So our GDP in Singapore is 70%, and the trade is whole China's 9.1% of total China's trade. And the next export, about 50% of China's next export. And for the last few years has been 30% of China's net export in average. And Shenzhen is the fourth largest container port in the world. In the process of transformation, we need to see, and this is a chart of the past 5 years, the change in the lowest salary. So China's lowest salary, minimum salary has increased substantially. The average in Shenzhen, the salary has increased substantially. This is the biggest challenge we are facing now. Cheap labor, the area of cheap labor is no longer here. Our average GDP is about $20,000. We have to think about when we reach 20,000, 30,000, and 50,000, industry can we rely on to develop Shenzhen? And this is a chart on increasing our industry's value to move our industry up to the value chain. Before, we rely on making T-shirts and making apparels and shoes and suitcases. That's 30 years ago. And later, we moved to the IT industry. At that time, many products are made in China is actually made in Shenzhen. Now this is we are at our third stage. We actually make things in Shenzhen. We have our own brand. For example, Huawei, Zhongxin. These are two main systems, not just two companies. They are a big industrial block. This has propelled Shenzhen into a largest wireless manufacturing base. And people ask me where Shenzhen is. I said it's Hong Kong's neighbor. They don't know. They still don't know where we are. And then I said, this is where Huawei is. And they said, oh no, I know Huawei. Before 30 years ago, only had 7 to 8 people. Now they have 150,000 employees and has many branches in the world. Zhongxin is the same way. 30 years, only have 7 to 8 people. Now they have 100,000 employees. And they are really famous for wireless manufacturing. And we have seen a lot of R&D activities in Shenzhen. And the R&D's proportion in GDP is over 3.7%. And this is a very high level. What we need to do is to increase the quality of the city and make our city an innovating city, not just for companies. We also want to create more universities, set up more universities to train more talents. So far, we have seen a lot of patents in Shenzhen. 20 years ago, we only have patents in the hundreds. 10 years ago, is in the thousands. Last year, the patents is close to 70,000. And in PCT application, Shenzhen in the last 7 years it takes about 40% of whole China, the PCT application. Of course, Zhongxin and Huawei are the two major players. Huawei ranked the third in the world. For Shenzhen, if we want to overcome the problem of rising labor cost, we need to increase our standard of design. And UNESCO has named the Shenzhen as the city of design. Now we have top-class designers in Asia. Shenzhen's apparels are on par with Korea. It's still behind Japan. It's considered one of the best in Asia. They're designers. Shenzhen's apparel is about 40% of the whole China's apparel production. In the future, we want to do more on the IT industry and move to new material, new energy source, and finance. I would like to tell you a story. In Qianhai, this 15 square meter land. 3 years ago, it is still a wasteland. Now we want to build a modern service area. It means you can have free exchange of RMB, and foreign companies they can send loan to the Chinese companies. Now this goes back to the beginning slides. Shenzhen and Hong Kong in the future will become a more integrated area. And now the combined GDP of Hong Kong and Shenzhen is about 400 billion. Thank you.